So I want to start with Joel. I met Joel last year. He runs elections in Grand Rapids, Michigan, meaning that it's his job to make sure that nearly 150,000 voters can cast their ballots securely and efficiently across 74 precincts. Now, you might not realize this, but elections administration in the US is deceptively complicated. There are over 8,000 local and state bodies that have some mix of say in determining what elections looks like in their community. And these offices are consistently underfunded, understaffed, and even under attack. Now, Joel and his team are committed, and no matter what challenge they face, they always make sure to deliver on their promise to voters. But Joel has a problem now that he doesn't know how to solve. The technology that he needs to do his job effectively simply does not exist. You see, in 2022, Michigan passed a new law adding 9 days of early voting, which was great for expanding voting access. But for Joel, it meant a desperate search for better tools. Each day of voting added meant that he needed to find dozens more temporary workers and staff them at poll sites. And his current systems, massive spreadsheets, calling people up on the phone, just weren't going to cut it anymore. He had reached that point that every election office gets to. At some point, he needed specialized software to manage his temporary workers at scale. So naturally, he reached out to some software vendors, but what he found was distressing. High prices for terrible user experiences and missing critical features. Joel's experience is not unique. This is the story of every public official. Across 90,000 local governments in 50 states in the US alone, every government function today relies on tech. From crisis response to permitting to school systems to transportation, you name it. So for government to get its mission right of delivering for its people, getting the tech right is critical. Yet today, when governments across the globe take on major tech projects, they only deliver them successfully 13% of the time. Just think about that. Almost 90% do not succeed. That 90% represents billions of taxpayer dollars wasted, millions of people not getting the services that they need, and all sorts of inconveniences, like long lines at the polling place, that altogether contribute to people losing faith in their governments. I want to be clear about one thing. The tech that most public officials need is basic. Today we're hearing inspiring stories about work that's happening at the cutting edge, but Joel needs something to streamline logistics in his office, not some James Bond tech or headline-grabbing AI. And every government function relies on software like that. I want you to think about a traffic light. To be honest, if all's going well, you probably hardly ever consider it. But when things go wrong, it can be catastrophic. When things go wrong with the type of software that Joel is looking for, there are headlines, conspiracy theories, and a loss of public trust. On the flip side, when these systems are functioning and we're forgetting that they even exist, there's more space to focus on the issues that matter to all of us. That 13% success rate for government technology projects makes it crystal clear how broken the private market for this tech is. Here's how a lot of these projects play out. Legislatures hand down policies to public agencies, and these agencies typically don't have deep expertise with tech. The private market takes advantage of that to get away with outrageous terms, sky-high prices, multi-year locked-in contracts, and then frequently they underdeliver. By the time public officials realize this, they're trapped. They get stuck in a cycle of paying more and more, but never actually getting what the public needs. Now, even as Joel was considering his poor options, he knew that no matter what, he would figure it out to deliver for Michigan's voters. Just like election officials in Texas this year knew they would figure it out when they were slammed with hundreds of thousands of dollars in surprise bills from a vendor that ran their voter registration systems just 1 month before a presidential primary. Or like election officials in Florida this year, knew that they would figure it out when a website that a vendor created to display election results glitched, leading to widespread concern. But we can't keep relying on the scrappiness and innovation of our public servants to power our democracy. We're facing a crisis of public confidence. And we can't continue to neglect this digital infrastructure because as much as we gripe about the bureaucracy of government, it remains the single institution that has the power to deliver critical services to the people that need it most. We need to do two things. One, help governments adapt their practices to be more agile and citizen-centric so that they can actually deliver good policy. And then two, help them get the tech right. At US Digital Response, or USDR, we believe this problem is solvable. Our mission is to help get governments back on track by helping them experience the best of the private sector instead of the worst. The best people, the best practices, and the best products. We have a database of over 10,000 expert technologists who are eager to help their communities. I myself was launching new products at Amazon when I found myself volunteering alongside election officials in 2020 who were stretched thin, running the highest turnout election in American history in the middle of a global pandemic. Now, I found that work so rewarding that I quit my job to do this full time, and there are thousands of people just like me. At USDR, we match them on pro bono projects alongside government agencies and connect many of them to opportunities to switch over full-time to government. Second, we teach best practices. In just 4 years, we've completed over 500 projects along all types of agencies in all 50 states, from elections to benefits administrators to transportation, you name it, to upskill public officials on how to deliver policy well using tech, like revamping procurement processes. We get so excited about revamping procurement processes, you guys. And starting with user research, delivering work in milestones, and yes, even piloting cutting-edge technologies like generative AI responsibly and equitably. Finally, we help governments access the best products by directly creating and selling software. Last year, Joel almost gave up on his search, but then he heard about our work at USDR, called us up, and was relieved by what he found. User-friendly, secure software that met his needs with reasonable, transparent fees. This November, Joel, alongside dozens of other election offices who collectively serve 10% of America's voters, will march into yet another chaotic election cycle. But this time, they know that USDR has their back. Now, if we're doing our jobs right, our vision is that the traffic signal is working. You might not hear about our work in the news, but in the background, public officials will be getting the support that they need. And as a result, people will be able to cast their ballots securely and efficiently. People will be able to painlessly access the benefits that they need. And ultimately, all of us will build trust again in the effective functioning of our governments. Thank you.